But here's the truth. About 70% of what's in those aisles isn't really food at all. It's what researchers call ultra processed food, products designed in labs, engineered for taste and shelf life, not health. Ultra processed foods are stripped of natural fiber, vitamins, and minerals. They're just churned up into these big pots, and then everything is stripped of them. They're loaded with added sugars, and they're just throwing in all these refined starches and artificial flavors and preservatives to make sure that it'll last. And then often made with inflammatory seed oils like soybean oil. Soybean oil is one of those things that has become highly genetically modified. And what that means is that they can spray glyphosate, which is a known toxin, all over the soybean to prevent bugs and disease and to preserve it longer. And soybean oil is in everything. It's in your salad dressings, it's in your mayonnaise, it's in anything that you can think of that is fried or that is got oil in it. And it's crafted to hit that bliss point. So that's the perfect combo of sugar, salt, and fat that tricks your brain into overeating. Think about like a donut, right? So a donut is packed with sugar, salt, and it's fried in fat, right? And it tricks your brain into, oh my gosh, I want more. And you're never fully satisfied. You could have probably 5 or 10 donuts and still not be satisfied. You'll have a donut, maybe a little milk or something with it. Then you want another one. Then you want another one. You can easily clear a dozen donuts in a matter of a whole, a day. So here's why that matters. So every time you eat these foods, your blood sugar spikes. Your pancreas pumps out insulin to bring that sugar down, and over time, your body becomes less responsive to insulin. This is called insulin resistance. So your body has just been working overtime. You're just it's exhausted, right? So it can't pump out any more insulin. And so it's just insulin resistance. And that's the beginning of the cascade leading to weight gain, fatty liver, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and even dementia. From a functional nutrition standpoint, ultra processed foods are what I call anti medicine. Instead of giving your body what it needs to heal, repair, and thrive, they actually deplete nutrients, inflame tissues, and confuse your metabolism. And it's not just about physical health, these foods also hijack the brain. Research shows that ultra processed diets accelerate cognitive decline and increase your risk for Alzheimer's disease. This also affects mood, raising anxiety, feeding depression, and making it harder to focus. So here's a takeaway with that. If there's one change you make after listening today, let it be this: cut down ultra processed foods. Shop the perimeter of the store. If you haven't heard this before, I've heard it a million times in my lifetime. So fill your cart with whole foods, vegetables, fruits, clean proteins. Clean proteins are pasture raised or um, grass fed proteins. And then healthy fats. And healthy fats are like avocados, uh, coconut oil, avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil. So, and nuts and seeds. Those are all healthy fats. So, if your grandmother wouldn't recognize it as food, it probably doesn't belong on your plate. And really, maybe for most of us, it's our great grandmother because there is so much processed food out there today. Now, let's zoom in on blood sugar itself, right? This is high blood sugar. It's just a problem. It isn't just a problem for people with diabetes, it's a problem for all of us. And let me tell you why. Because those constant spikes and crashes do damage throughout the body. When your blood sugar is unstable, you're more likely to damage your arteries, increasing the risk for heart disease and stroke. You trigger oxidative stress and glycation, Basically, that means that your sugar molecules are sticking to proteins and aging them faster. I'm 57 years old. Nobody ever guesses my age. And that's because I eat clean. I drink lots of healthy water. I, I take care of my body. I work out. And it's amazing what can happen to your body when you take care of it. So increase systemic the processed foods increase your systemic inflammation that can hurt your brain, your joints, and your hormones. I can remember when I was eating during COVID, I was eating all kinds of cookies right out of the tub, and I would put them on a pan and put them in the oven, and they were so good right out of the oven. I just thought they were amazing. Little did I know it was giving me arthritis, diabetes, high blood pressure, and high triglycerides. I was also eating pizza and macaroni and cheese and raviolis and all kinds of stuff. Now, I didn't eat a lot of canned food, but I was eating a lot of packaged foods that came in plastics. So here's a big one that I want to talk about is unstable blood sugar is now linked to Alzheimer's. Some researchers even call it type 3 diabetes. That's because of how much sugar is impacting your brain, that it's called type 3 diabetes for your brain. So that's how central glucose control is to your health. As a functional nutrition coach, I see the impact of blood sugar instability all the time. Clients come to me with fatigue, brain fog, mood swings, weight gain, cravings like crazy. And very often, the root is poor blood sugar regulation. I can tell you that if I have something sweet for breakfast, like a protein shake or a protein mix and it could be made with, it's not made with sugar. It can be made with monk fruit extract, or it could just be berries. If I'm having anything sweet or a banana or a piece of fruit, I seem to crave food all day long. If I start off the day with something that is savory, so I might have some eggs with some spinach and some cheese. I just got some awesome French feta cheese. It was, oh my God, so good. So I might sprinkle that on my eggs and make it like a little omelet and chop up some onions and some bell peppers and just make a nice little omelet. It takes me maybe 10 minutes to make it in the morning. And I just get up a little bit earlier so that I can make my breakfast in the morning and have a nice savory breakfast. And then I'll put a little avocado on it for some healthy fat. And that is my breakfast. And I do not crave a bunch of food the rest of the day. I can also tell you that if I put chia seeds into my food, it really helps fill my belly up. So I might not eat for the rest of the day, or I might eat at like 3 o'clock and then I won't eat again. So here's my favorite framework, PFF. It's protein, fat, and fiber at every meal. Protein keeps you full and it stabilizes your blood sugar. Healthy fats slow the digestion and fuel your hormones. I'll have half an avocado with my eggs. The eggs are the protein, the feta cheese is the protein. Fiber slows the glucose response and feeds your microbiome. That's the spinach, the bell peppers, the onion. When you build your plate around protein, fiber, and fat, you don't get those huge glucose spikes. You stay satisfied longer, you reduce cravings, and you protect your long term health. All right, so let's talk about keto. This is just one of the many or several of, there's not many, but there's several different types of foods that you can eat that, or that are like a part of a keto diet that is really healing for your body. So it's one of the most misunderstood diets out there. Some people swear by it, others call it dangerous. So what's the truth? Keto basics. It's a diet very low in carbohydrates, maybe around 50 grams of carbohydrates. It's moderate in protein and it's high in healthy fats. So avocados, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, it's not your bacon and your fat. I mean, it's not eating that. It's not eating a steak full of fat. It is actually your healthy fats, so nuts and seeds. When carbs are low enough, your body shifts into a state called ketosis, where it burns fat for fuel and it produces ketones, which are a clean, efficient fuel source, especially for the brain. So the benefit supported by the science is it lowers glucose and insulin levels. It can reverse insulin resistance. It helps with fat loss while maintaining muscle when protein is adequate. So protein is adequate. You need about 30 grams of protein or about 7/10 to 1 gram of protein per ideal body weight. So my ideal body weight is 150 grams. So meaning that I would get somewhere around 80 to 150 grams of protein a day. And so I'm constantly making sure that, I might start off with some cottage cheese and then it's got a protein mix in it. And I might have some nuts and seeds in there and some avocado. So I might have that for a lunch. And like I said, I'll have the eggs in the morning and then I'll have the feta cheese and I might throw some cottage cheese on the plate. I want to make sure that I am getting at least, and I usually have about 3 or 4 eggs with my breakfast so that I'm making sure, because each egg is about 6 grams of protein. So that's about 24 grams of protein for 4 eggs. So you just want to make sure that you're getting about 30 to 40 grams of protein, depending on whether you're male or female, per meal. And it provides ketones as alternative brain fuel, which is especially helpful in conditions like epilepsy, mild cognitive impairment, and possibly even Alzheimer's disease. It reduces hunger naturally, and here are the drawbacks and cautions. Not everyone thrives on keto long term. It can lead to nutrient deficiencies if done poorly, meaning you're not getting the right vegetables and getting some spinach and getting some low glycemic vegetables like broccoli, green beans, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. I just rice up my cauliflower, put some butter into it, and I'm loving it. And I use grass fed butter. Socially, it can feel restrictive. So if you're out with your friends and you want to have alcohol, I can tell you that a lot more people are cutting down on their alcohol. Alcohol is down uh, almost 60% from what it was in the 1990s. And it's amazing to see. So I might occasionally have a cocktail, but I could tell you that I probably have 3 or 4 a year, and that is it. Um, it damages your brain. My mother has early cognitive decline, and I just don't want to have it for myself. And my mother never hardly well, I should say never drank. She had a couple cocktails in her life, but she's not a big drinker. So certain groups, but she eats a lot of sugar. Certain groups, like pregnant women or those with thyroid or adrenal concerns, may not do well with strict keto. So you got to make sure that you are in the right place in life to be able to do it. Like I have Hashimoto's, so I tend to not do a keto diet because of trying to avoid the Hashimoto's. So I'm making sure that I'm getting more nutrients from my body than keto will give. But I will do bouts of it, and more I do fasting. So fasting also can also mess with your thyroid. So I just make sure that I'm trying to eat mostly protein and vegetables and fruits. So, the certain groups, like I said, pregnant women or those with thyroid or adrenal concerns may not do well with a strict keto diet. So here's my stance. Keto isn't a religion, it's a therapeutic tool. It's for someone struggling with blood sugar regulation, insulin resistance, or early cognitive decline. So a well-formulated ketogenic diet is based on whole foods like salmon, avocados, leafy greens, nuts, and olive oil. It can be life-changing. But you don't have to live in keto forever. Sometimes it's about short resets or cycling in and out. The key is personalization. So let's shift to fasting. Humans are not designed to eat all day long. Historically, we ate in patterns of feast and fast. But today, food is everywhere, 24/7, and many of us graze from morning to night. And here's the problem with that: constant eating equals constant insulin. And when insulin is always high, you can't burn fat. and your cells never get a chance to repair and rest. Fasting, even just time restricted eating, changes that. Studies show that narrowing your eating window to 8 to 10 hours a day can improve insulin sensitivity. It can lower your blood sugar and your triglycerides. It can promote autophagy, which is cellular cleanup that slows aging. So autophagy is really interesting, and that kicks in around 17 hours. It's around that. It's different for everybody. It could be 16 hours. If you have a really clean body, it could kick in sooner. But the autophagy goes in and starts cleaning up the cell, the old senescent cells that are, sorry, the old cells that are just dying off, that your body isn't naturally cleaning as we get older. And so it really does help slow aging. 57. I'm fasting on a regular basis. So it also supports weight management. So from a functional nutrition lens, fasting isn't about punishment or deprivation. It's about restoring your body's natural rhythm, right? So our bodies are not used to eating all day long. So here's how to start. Try a 12-hour overnight fast. So, for example, you finish dinner at 7 p.m. and you don't eat again until 7 a.m. And once that feels easy, shorten the window. Maybe you eat breakfast at 10 a.m. and you eat dinner by 6 p.m. and keep it flexible. Pair fasting with nutrient dense eating to get the benefits without stress. So here's a truth bomb. You cannot burn fat efficiently if your insulin is high. Insulin is the storage hormone. When it's elevated, your body is locked in storage mode, not burn mode. That's why people eating a high carb, high processed diet often struggle to lose fat, no matter how much they exercise. The fix is you need to lower your insulin by cutting refined carbs and sugar, using a fasting using fasting strategically for how it works, for your schedule for work or for your social events, and then building muscle, because muscle is your best glucose sink. So I get up in the morning and I'll do some compound removes, like I'll have maybe 20 pounds in each hand. I will squat down, I'll do a bicep curl, and then I'll push up, bring it down, bring the bicep curl down, do a squat. And I'll do maybe 20 of those. And then I'll do some planks and I'll hold the plank as long as I can. So I might hold it for 90 seconds. And then I will do some, I have a bench. And so I'll maybe do some, I forget what it's called, but you're kind of bent like this, and you're bringing your knees into your stomach, and so you're working your abs, you're working your core. It's a great workout, along with planks are working that as well. So and then I'll do push-ups. So I feel like I'm getting a kind of a good round of a lot of different muscles. So that's why resistance training is medicine too, because the more lean muscle you have, the more efficiently your body handles glucose and the more fat you burn at rest. So I remember when I was a competitive bodybuilder in college, and then also just when I was training in Chicago with a personal trainer, I had built up so much muscle that it almost didn't matter what I ate. I was just literally burning so much calories, and I was always warm, right? So I slept with a sheet and it could be 60 degrees in the house, but I was still sleeping with a sheet and hardly anything, on, because your muscles give you so much energy and burn so many calories and so much fat. It's amazing. So I also want to talk about exogenous ketones. There's supplements that can raise the blood ketone levels without cutting carbs. Here's my take on that. The research is early. They may have benefits for cognition, endurance athletes, or certain medical conditions, but they are not a shortcut. You can't out supplement a poor diet. Whole food is always the foundation. Now, let's bring it all together into a functional nutrition blueprint, right? So, clean the cart, minimize processed foods, skip sugary drinks, Avoid products with long labels. I can tell you that it's not that I don't ever cheat. Like I get Boulder Canyon potato chips that are cooked in avocado oil, or I get Jackson's sweet potato chips cooked in coconut oil. I don't have a lot of it. I have a little snack bag. I might have some chips. That's all I'll have, and I'll have that maybe once a week. I just don't eat a lot of processed foods, but those are minimally processed. They have a, a organic potato, they have avocado oil, and they have salt. I don't buy the flavors because the flavors always have something in them that is not good for you. So I just go with sea salt, just the plain sea salt, and they're delicious. Or I find a granola that is also has nuts in it, and I'll find it's made with some organic ingredients. Costco and Walmart and Aldi's, they all have more and more options that are healthy foods, also keto style. Now, be careful about highly processed foods that say that they're keto because, again, Keto keto is not highly processed foods. Keto doesn't come in a box. Keto is the meat section. It is avocados. It is eggs. It is You could do whole fat dairy, but even that has some sugars, so you have to watch your carbs. So minimize the processed foods, skip the sugary drinks, avoid products with long labels, okay? And the PFFs that I talked about earlier, the PFF meals, the highly processed foods. Do protein, fat, and fiber every time you eat. So the PFFs are protein, fat, and fiber, and do that every time you eat. Think about it: protein, fat, and fiber. And get your fiber from your vegetables. You could even do some raspberries. Raspberries have a lot of fiber in them. So do blackberries, so do strawberries, blueberries. So fiber first. Eat vegetables before your carbs. So vegetables are your carbs. That should be your carbohydrate. Like the potato chips I'm talking about, I do so little, and that's all you should have if you're going to have it, and only do it once a week. Don't add in a lot of carbs. Do your vegetables. There's a whole list of vegetables that you can eat. Check out my website at larsonhealthweightloss.com, and you can see all kinds of loaded recipes that are low in carbs. Some of them have carbs in them, but they're all healthy recipes and they're delicious. So also think about time restricted eating. Start with 12 hours, progress if it works for you. I can tell you that I stop eating around 3 o'clock, maybe 4 o'clock. Sometimes I'll eat at 6, but most of the time I stop eating around 4 o'clock, and I don't eat breakfast until around 9 or 10 o'clock. So I'm eating between 9 or 10 and to 3 or 4 o'clock. And that is my window. And then I'm fasting the rest of the time. I drink water with electrolytes. I might have a coffee or whatever, but I don't take any calories in. I don't add any foods. I don't snack on anything. I don't add anything in. And then build muscle. Lift 2 to 3 times per week. I can tell you that I'm doing it a little more than that, but I'm doing maybe 20 minutes a day. So I'm not getting in a lot of workout. I literally had to get up at 5 in the morning. I do about 20 minutes. I get in the shower, I get dressed, I make my breakfast, I make my lunch, and I get out the door and I have to get to work. So try to build muscle, lift weights 2, 3 times per week. Also have a lifestyle hygiene, right? Prioritize your sleep. So I can tell you that around 8 o'clock, I start yawning. I'm tired at 8 p.m. So I start winding down. I don't look at my phone anymore. I prioritize my sleep by doing that. I shut off all the electronics, and then I go wash up for bed. I brush my teeth, floss. I do my water pick. I do all my things to take care of do my light therapy. I might do a mask. I might do a derma roller. I might do some things on my skin to just help my skin. And then I get to bed early. So I'm probably in bed by 9 o'clock, and then I'm up at 5 a.m. So, and then I manage my stress by making sure that I work out. I do yoga. I do deep breathing. You can even do it with me. So I'm just doing the deep breathing to help relax me. And then I meditate as well. Now, I usually meditate when I go to sleep at night because it helps me fall asleep at night. It quiets my mind and it helps me fall asleep. And I just do a mantra over and over again, Sath Chith Ananda. I just keep repeating that over and over again. Of course, my mind kind of wanders sometimes, but eventually I just fall asleep, and I can usually fall asleep within about 10 to 15 minutes. So, lifestyle, prioritizing sleep and manage your stress and move your body daily. Go for walks, do some air squats. Like sometimes I'll be sitting at my desk and I'll just do some air squats, so I don't have, so I can be moving daily. So, if you apply these 6 steps consistently, you'll consistently you'll be actively preventing disease, and this is food as medicine in action. So, you can you can apply a simple diet to prevent 80% of disease. Maybe not in every individual, but the principle holds. If you can control blood sugar, minimize processed foods, and nourish your body with whole foods and dramatically lower your risk of the chronic disease that plague modern life. And here's the beautiful part: you don't need a prescription, you don't need a supplement stack or the latest fitness gadget. You just need to go back to what nature already gave us: whole food, smart rhythms of eating, fasting, movement, and rest. Again, that's how we reclaim health, our health span, not just living longer, but living better. Peter Attia has this great analogy about health. So a lot of people are on this plane, right? And they start to get sick and they have a long life of bad health, just a long life of declining health. And then they struggle, and maybe medicine helps them live about 2 or 3 or 4 months longer, but they're in pain and they're uncomfortable, they have diarrhea, they have arthritis, they have pain, they have all kinds of things going on. They're in the hospital, in and out of the hospital, they're going to see this doctor for this and that and this and that. I'm telling you, stop the processed foods, you won't have all those problems. The people who are healthy, Peter T talks about, they go like this and then boom, they're done. They live a good long life and then they're done. There's not a long suffering. There's not all these diseases. They're not falling and breaking a hip. They're not, because they're working out. They're exercising. They're maintaining their balance. They're doing yoga. They're doing whatever it takes to keep active and stay a healthy life, to live longer and live a better life. So, thank you for joining me today on the Larson Health Podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend or a family member. And remember, the most powerful medicine you'll ever take is at the end of your fork. I hope you guys have a blessed day and thank you for watching. Have a great day.